We begin with disturbing new details surrounding the horrifying case of the death of baby Moses.
It was one of the city's darkest mysteries for nearly 3 decades.
It was a scene that stunned the city of Albany in 1997.
I set the baby on fire.
The charred remains of a newborn baby.
When you see a casket that size, it doesn't touch you, and yet there's something wrong.
I suffocated the child.
With what?
To put in the bag.
In the Old Testament, baby Moses' mother left him in a basket on the Nile River to save his life. In 1997, Carrie Mazuka left her baby near the Moses statue in Washington Park. Only this mother killed her child.
As dawn's light begins to crack over the dark horizon on September 6, 1997, 3 maintenance workers arrive at Albany's Washington Park around 6 a.m. to dig an irrigation line and lay an electrical circuit. That one event would lead to a near 3-decade horror tale before being solved. One of the workers, 43-year-old Steve Summers, began digging when something caught his attention next to a bed of purple and red flowers. At first, he thought it was a Cabbage Patch doll, but as he squinted and moved closer, Summers saw lips that were bright blue, and right then, his eyes widened with terror, because right then, he knew it wasn't a doll, but a real baby. What he discovered was wrapped in a piece of burned blue cloth, with a small pile of wooden matchsticks resting at its top. As he alerted the others, one of the workers moved it with his shovel, and that's when they were left speechless at the sight of the deceased baby that fell out. The trio scanned the surroundings, but no one else was noticed around the grassy lawn since their arrival. Soon, police and yellow tape cordoned off the park as investigators canvassed the scene. A small white cloth covered the remains from a barbaric crime that traumatized police who saw the brutality.
Former retired Albany police spokesperson Jimmy Miller says he remembers the case vividly.
It hit home for a lot of people, particularly the officers that worked the case, the city workers that found baby Moses, as well as the community, that somebody could have done something so horrific.
The coroner later stated the healthy-born baby weighed 9 pounds and 3 ounces and was only 12 hours old before his life was inhumanely snuffed out. His body had suffered burns to his back, head, and neck. It was painstaking collecting ashes off the charred flesh of the baby before wrapping his tiny body in plastic and then placing him in a case to take to the morgue. There was no sign of his parents, and from the state of the body, there were concerns that the mother was also in danger, as the umbilical cord was still attached to the baby's belly. One life was already lost, and it looked like another may be in danger as well. It was pivotal for investigators to move as swiftly as they could to find her and the suspect of such a heartless attack still on the loose. The mother could be held hostage, or worse, dying. From hospitals to schools to interviewing the community to even searching through the trash, police were leaving no stone unturned to find evidence that could assist in the case. They encouraged everyone who knew of a woman who may have recently given birth but does not have a child to contact Albany detectives. They were also looking for anyone who might have seen a person carrying a bundle near the Moses statue late Saturday night or early Sunday, right before the grueling discovery was made. The news of the death of the baby left the city in tears as they mourned, placing him in his final resting place. It wasn't known then the true details that would later come out, detailing the level of suffering that 12-hour-old baby boy endured before being dumped in the park like rubbish.
And we commit his body to the ground.
None of the more than 100 people who attended today's funeral ever met little Moses Washington, but each felt a special caring for this child who was found dead and abandoned next to a flower bed in a city park. Dozens of local residents who came to let this unwanted child know that he indeed was loved.
Oh, I just love children, and I lost a baby once, and I just feel very bad for the mom.
Children are my whole life. I just can't believe that this poor little child is without a mother and a father here. a grandmother, a grandfather.
Following the body's discovery, the city held a funeral for the child, naming him Moses Washington after the statue in Park. Then Mayor Jerry Jennings was there.
Anytime you see a casket that size, it doesn't touch you, and there's something wrong.
Newspaper articles memorialized the tragedy, but even after months of investigating, every lead in what became known as the Baby Moses case arrived at a dead end. The case went cold. Baby Moses' justice was slipping away, and no mother, father, or relative was found. With no advanced technology to analyze DNA or collect data, police were investigating at a disadvantage. The years flew by, but even as time was lost, one thing remained steadfast: the hope of officers that justice for Baby Moses would be achieved. That hope received renewed life 20 years later in the fall of 2020, as COVID-19 had the world in its clutches. Samples of Baby Moses's DNA and tissue were collected and preserved at the newborn's autopsy. And that was about to be the smoking gun. Now that technology had given investigators the power to locate family lineage with unimaginable precision. With this new option in their hands, it inspired a partnership between the Albany Police Department and the Cold Case Analysis Center at the College of St. Rose.
A police partnership proved vital in the Baby Moses case. Dr. Christina Lane's Cold Case Center at St. Rose, which launched in 2018, was given the case in 2020 to organize and piece together evidence to help the department take a step forward.
The Baby Moses case was, basically a binder, and they were able to organize it. And what's really nice that I like to see when I bring the product to the police is when they look through the binder, you see their eyes glinting.
They had that case turned around and back to police by February of 2021.
Together they worked the case before utilizing the FBI's national database of DNA profiles to analyze Baby Moses's blood samples. Retired FBI agent David Fallon, who had started working with the center as an advisor, took it a step further and suggested conducting genealogical research on the identity of Baby Moses. In August 2022, the FBI's DNA analysis produced the first significant lead in the case, linking the baby's DNA to a relative in their database. But this silver lining had one hurdle to overcome. The relative in question had to be narrowed down and located from the ever-reaching family tree. The finish line was in sight to finally locate the suspect responsible for the charred body of Baby Moses. Police zeroed in on a family with ties to the town of Roxbury, a rural community about 70 miles southwest of Albany in Delaware County. Delving deeper through their database, they pinpointed any women of the family who were of childbearing age in 1997 and may have been in the Albany area. The suspense was rising, and then came the moment of hope. A light shone from the 25 years of darkness the Baby Moses case was shrouded in. One woman matched the criteria of the manhunt that lasted nearly 3 decades. She was now 52-year-old divorced mother of 2, Cre8live Studios, who resided in Guilderland. Cre8live grew up in Roxbury, graduated from the local high school there in 1990, and later attended nearby SUNY Delhi before moving to the Albany area. The investigation revealed that when Baby Moses' body was found in September 1997, Cre8live had been living in a residence on Western Avenue in Albany, about 5 blocks west of Washington Park. Finding whom they believed to be the mother, it was a bittersweet moment, because that would mean the mother went on living fine while her baby suffered such a gruesome fate, which in turn would make her the main suspect of the heinous crime. In October 2022, detectives collected trash from in front of Cre8live's residence in Guilderland and had bottles and cans tested for DNA. The results of those tests confirmed that DNA belonging to a female in the residence was likely from someone who could be the baby's biological parent. That conclusion placed Cre8live right underneath the law's thumb. Cre8live was unsuspecting that police were now building an investigation around her. In the background, they began gathering information including her and her family's cell phone records, as well as messages from a Facebook account. They followed her for a few weeks and eventually used court-authorized search warrants to eavesdrop on her conversations and text messages in search of any leads to a possible accomplice. The unknown father comes to mind, but nothing suggested she didn't act alone. In karmic nature, police confronted Cre8 on September 6, 2024, the same date as the murder of her baby. She was brought to the police station for questioning, but nothing prepared them for what she was about to confess.
I killed a child. I killed a baby.
At first, with a calm posture and demeanor, she denies that any relative or herself had a baby or was pregnant around the time of the murder.
Let me ask you this, back 96, 97, 1997, right? Anyone, any of them end up being pregnant?
My sister, no.
But any at that time, was anybody pregnant and then like no one ever saw the kid or anything?
No.
No?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Not that you're aware of. At no point, you don't remember your sister being pregnant in 1997, and you were never pregnant in 1997? No. Never miscarried, never had a child, or were pregnant before?
No.
Okay.
But something is noticed. No matter how calm she's trying to remain, goosebumps are rising on her skin just from having the conversation. The interviewing detective, Rob Lawyer, then ups the ante and reveals a picture of charred baby Moses, to which Cre8 instantly clutches her mouth, letting out a gasp.
So, I'm sorry I gotta show you this, but I do, because it is important, okay? The baby was actually set on fire.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not only was it abandoned, but...
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Still, she denies being the mother, but she continually glances at the picture, and you can tell her conscience is breaking her down. Until it happens.
Say you are mom, right? I'm not saying you are, but say you are, right? And we bring you down here, and you say, no, I'm not the mother. I was never pregnant then. What, if that's not true, like, we can figure all that stuff out, right? And then what happens is, we go, hey, guess what? We found this baby dead and burned, and the mother said she's not the mother. What's that scream to you? If you're like,
I did it. I did it.
You did it?
Cre8, still trying to dodge accountability for her actions, tries to hide details of the truth, stating that she handed the baby to a stranger and the baby was already passed from birth. But what she didn't know was that a forensic pathologist already determined baby Moses was alive and healthy at birth.
Why'd you burn the baby?
I didn't burn the baby.
Who did?
I don't know who did.
Who'd you give the baby to?
I had the baby by myself. I went down to the park. I handed it to somebody.
Who'd you hand it to?
I don't know. Some random person.
Cre8, that doesn't exist.
I swear to God.
You did not hand this baby to a random person. That didn't happen.
I didn't know what to do. I set the baby on fire.
Was it screaming?
No, it was dead. It was dead.
Because the doctor who did the autopsy says your version's bull.
I put it at it.
No, what I'm saying is this baby was breathing for minutes. This baby was alive.
I had it in the... I did.
That doesn't lie. This is 27 years ago. Let's clean this up. Let's be done with this here and now. That baby died, not of natural causes.
I didn't kill the baby that I'm aware of. I had it in the bathtub.
It didn't drown. There's no water in the lungs. That didn't happen. It's not of natural causes. There's no trauma, so that leaves one thing. And you know what that one thing is?
Suffocation?
Cre8, who at one point in her life was a beloved babysitter, admits to murdering her baby. But the details of how she did it and what she did after are what turn your stomach, realizing what that newborn baby endured before taking his last breath.
I just know that I was having pains and I got in the bathtub to kind of like, because I read online, whatever.
Yeah. But you knew you were pregnant, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I gave birth in the bathtub. I mean, But then I remember putting the baby outside the tub because I was trying to figure out the umbilical cord.
How did you sever the umbilical cord?
Scissors.
Scissors.
Put my hands over its mouth and nose.
I want you to think back to 1997 when you had your hand over your mouth and nose. Did you feel those little breaths hitting your hand?
Yes.
How long until it stopped?
10 minutes. I suffocated the child.
So walk me through that. How do you get it from the apartment to your car?
I had it in the plastic bag. I put it in the bag, in the towel, and put it in my car. Carried it out like it was groceries.
Carried it out like it was groceries?
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like you thought, taking it out like it's trash,
Yeah.
Yeah, at what point did you decide that's the burning was what you were going to do?
I was afraid that there might be evidence on the towel.
What tightens your chest even more hearing her confession is Kerry's uncertainty about baby Moses being already murdered before setting fire to his tiny body. It's no wonder she nearly throws up multiple times reliving the truth.
But the baby was definitely dead before you set it on fire, right?
Yes.
You killed it.
I believe it was dead before I left the apartment. I can't say 100% sure because I didn't feel pulse or anything. I didn't.
Exactly 27 years later, on the same date when baby Moses was suffocated by his own mother, thrown in a grocery bag like trash, and set on fire at the park, the truth was finally brought to light. Cre8live was released after questioning, and after a grand jury in Albany reviewed the case, she was arrested on September 14th for the murder of baby Moses. Cre8live tried to hide behind being young and stupid, but at 25 years old, she knew what she was doing. Not to mention, she also admitted there were many options available to her, even a child help center just around the corner where she stayed. Instead, she kept the pregnancy from everyone, even the father, who never knew he had a son and lost that son to a horrific crime.
I knew I wasn't going to keep it, but after I did it, then my mind, there was on the corner, there was a child, St. Catherine's or some center there. And, as soon as I did it, it was like, oh my God, I should have, right. It's, I don't know, it's like, you do it and then it's like, oh, I should have.
So you felt regret right after you did it?
Absolutely.
By her own admission, she had other options to killing her newborn child. Though she made a point of informing this writer, back then they didn't have the resources or the safe haven boxes. This writer is older than the defendant and is quite certain that back then there were ample alternatives to killing an innocent child.
Cre8live accepted a plea deal and asked for leniency, given she had a son, a daughter, and a life she'd built without any trouble. However, the judge felt otherwise given the gruesome nature of the crime and sentenced her to 25 years for the charges.
Your Honor, first I want to say I'm sorry. I did a horrible, unimaginable thing, and I live with remorse and regret. I am a great mom. I've lived a law-abiding life, and I do deserve a lengthy sentence. I just hope you use some discretion and go with the lower end. Thank you.
Against the darkness, the selfishness, the malevolence of a mother who could nurture a child in her womb for 9 months and then snuff his life out within moments of his birth. The court deems the only appropriate sentence on the charge of manslaughter in the first degree is to a 25-year determinate sentence, to be followed by 5 years post-release supervision.
Most babies are known from their place of birth, but baby Moses was only known from his place of death. Still, his murder would inspire something to save lives like his. Just 3 years after his death, New York enacted the Abandoned Infant Protection Act, a law allowing parents to anonymously give up babies 30 days or younger without facing prosecution. His life was short, but it still had purpose, one that continues to protect babies like him for generations to come. For more true crime documentaries, check out one of the videos on the screen. This has been an episode of Mysteries, where true stories from around the world come to life. What stories come next? Like, share, comment, and subscribe to never miss what intriguing chronicles will be told.